welcome everybody to another episode of Gaming the System, where today two intersectional feminists will be looking at gaming through a feminist lens. And we're going to have a couple of short episodes for the next set of episodes to really cover Barbie, because I think it's very on trend right now. It's very popular. It's basically it's a really good film, and we're going to talk about that for this first episode because it's amazing and I think we should all be talking about it. So, but I guess to bring it back to our gaming podcast angle, since me and Jem haven't done one of these in a while together, just the two of us, I would like to know, Jem, and I think I can have an educated guess, what have you been playing lately?
There is only Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 3. I've just been playing that and I'm still really, really loving it. Still very much into it. I just met a character who is in the previous games and who I always had a very soft spot for, who I loved. Chihira. And it was so nice to see her again. It was just so nice. It was lovely. And the game is just really good. It's just really good. The balance is very good. The storyline is still great, and you get really attached to all the different characters as well. So in your party, because I'm playing single player, you can have up to 4 people in your party. And it's so hard making those choices because there's usually slight crossover and game style, but also if you take certain characters out with you, then they experience the game with you. So if it involves them or has sort of direct relevance to their story, then you get little bits of dialogue and stuff that come up while you're out and about that between them and yourself, or them and other characters in your party. And it's just really nice to have lots of characters to play with and lots of characters to want to play with. So the biggest struggle I'm having at the moment is that I want to take 6 characters out with me and I have to choose 3. So yeah,
a hard choice indeed.
It is.
I'm sure.
Yes. What about you, Alex? What are you playing?
I've been playing a game that is a genre I've never played before, and I think it's probably the first of its kind. It's a role-playing musical game, and it's called Stray Gods. And it features quite a lot of people who are involved in Critical Role, and also a lot of voice actors from The Last of Us. So people like Troy Baker, the voice actors for Ellie and I've forgotten her name. The other Abby. That's it. So basically, it's Greek pantheon set in modern times and a murder mystery, but all to the setting of a musical. And the role-playing element comes in deciding what kind of attitude you're going to take as the main playable character in the way that you sing the songs, because you are a muse. And you can be clever, you can be charismatic, or you can be kick-ass. You can be very angry, or you can be more like laid back and relaxed and stuff. And Austin Wintory, who's one of my favourite video game composers, has collaborated with a lot of other people to compose the score for the game. And there's basically 1,000 different ways in which you can experience it because of all the branching trees of your choices. Like there's not one playthrough that you can probably do that would be the same, unless you obviously remembered exactly what you did all the time and played through it. But it's just really interesting, and I'm probably going to try and platinum it if I can. And but it does involve somehow listening to all of the songs I don't think it means like literally every choice, because otherwise you'd be there for years. But it's just really good, and it's also it's kind of not it's not as active as other games in that it's basically a visual novel. So it's like
Mm.
two pictures as they progress through. But the art style is really nice, and I definitely
Wow.
recommend it if you want a short game that's musical based.
That
So
sounds awesome.
very
That sounds
cool.
really good.
Yeah.
What sort of age would you say it was
Um,
targeted at?
Let me think. I'd say it was probably teenage, sort of mid-teen. I'm trying to think. There is a lot of content warnings. They actually start off, the very first screen you see is about how the game was made on stolen ground, and acknowledging like the Native American land on which the game was made and stuff. So it's very conscious of like potential triggers and things that people might find difficult. So there's some references to suicide and things like that as well. But they all list them, so all the content warnings are in the menu before you play. But I think generally it's not too dark or like adult, um, and it's not too violent. I don't think either. Just trying to think, and it does have a lot of representation actually. There's a trans character and a wheelchair using character whose main focus is not the fact that they are in a wheelchair, which is really nice as well. So there's a lot of really good representation in there as well. But yeah,
And
I'd
what's
say
it
it's
called?
probably
Stray Gods.
Stray Gods. Yes, yeah, probably
Mm.
sort of 14, 15 maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how people classify these things these days. Yeah,
I'll have
yeah,
a look. I'll check it out. I
definitely
might.
worth
I'm
looking
just
at.
thinking it might be suitable for my daughter because
Yeah, I'm sure she'd love
she
it.
does like a musical.
Yes, yeah,
So,
yeah. There's definitely some ways you can play which I think get a better song than others, but it's worth exploring, definitely, for sure. So then that
mm.
brings us on to our main topic of the episode, which is Barbie, the film, the movie that has been out since, I can't remember when it came out. Was it August or
Yeah.
July? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was relatively late watching it, and you've also recently watched it as well.
Mhm.
So I guess my main question is, what were your thoughts on the film as a whole um, when you watched it?
Oh, I loved it.
Mm,
I. It was really interesting actually because perhaps unsurprisingly, my daughter is almost anti-pink. I would say that I have not gone out of my way to
mm,
encourage that, and in fact, I have tried to encourage her at times to wear pretty dresses and
mm,
to do all of that stuff. She's clearly picked up on my general sort of worldview,
mm.
and so she's really not doesn't like pink, and she did have Barbies that she played with as a child, but they never in the way that they were sort of marketed. She
Mhm.
was really interested in dressing them up. She was more interested in making them do assault courses and things. Um, and so I rather cautiously suggested that she and Daniel join me to
Mm.
watch the film, and I was actually really surprised that her response was to be very excited about going to see it, because of course it was all over
It was.
TikTok,
There was so
and
much hype around it, wasn't
yeah,
there?
everyone loved it, and it was getting a lot of positive feedback from in that world. So she very willingly came with us, and I loved it. I loved it. It did not disappoint. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it was a proper sort of feminist
Mm.
manifesto. I think that it basically covered all of the sort of 101 feminism issues and went a little bit deeper than that as well.
Mm.
Before going to see it, I had heard someone say um, that it was it was really just a big advert for Mattel, and that, you know, we were all being hoodwinked because it was sort of capitalism at work. Channeling Matt, even when he's not
Mm.
here, we're on that
Yeah.
topic. But yeah, so she was sort of saying, oh, you know, yeah, it's a good film, but
Mm.
it it's just a big advert. I don't think I would agree with that, actually. I
No,
think
I
there
think
was a
it took
lot of,
a lot of
yeah,
it took the Mickey quite a lot out of Mattel, to put it very politely.
it
Um,
did, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But no, I
So,
agree. I really enjoyed it as well. It's not what I was expecting. I'm not sure what I was expecting. I just know there was a lot of hype around it. And I think it's very clever in the way that it tackled a lot of the topics around
mm,
feminism and the patriarchy, particularly. There was a lot of focus on the patriarchy as well, which was very cool. And the way that they used Ken as like a vehicle to discover it and then realize it's maybe not all it's cracked up to be. Um, and I think I need to watch it at least 2 or 3 more times to fully appreciate like all of the things in there, because there's just so much in there that I've probably missed. And that if you watch
mm.
it again, you probably pick up a lot of little things. One of my favourite scenes, which I heard after watching, was threatened to be deleted from the film. And Greta Gerwig, who directed, said, "There is no film without this scene. So please keep it in," basically. It was the scene where Barbie's goes into the real world and she's at the bus stop and the old woman sits down and
Oh,
she looks at her and she's realized that the world's not what she thought it was, and she's quite tearful, and she looks at her and she just says, "Oh, you're beautiful." And the lady turns and looks at her and says, "I know it." And I think it's just so powerful to have
and they
that.
just laugh, don't they?
Yeah,
They both laugh, and and it's because that was one of the scenes that my daughter showed me
yeah,
before afterwards, that I think she showed it to me afterwards, that she had seen. No, she showed it to me before, that was why she wanted to go and see that film. So clearly it was right to keep that scene in
yeah.
there, because that very much like got picked up by, you know, the
It's
youth.
so simple as well. It's only like a couple of lines, but it's so impactful, and
Yeah,
I think it just did that really well. Um, yeah, I was a bit
absolutely.
worried when they were saying about making a Ken movie in the movie itself, hyping up the potential for Ken movie, and then I was like, please no, that's not what we want to take away from this. We don't need the Ken movie. Yeah, but I think a lot of the jokes were very clever. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of, I was interested actually about the amount of representation in the film in terms of different types of Barbie and the jokes they
Mm.
had around the pregnant Barbie being recalled because it didn't go down well. Um, I noticed a couple of times there was a wheelchair using Barbie, which was good to see, but also noted they didn't have a speaking part. Uh,
Mm.
but
Mm.
I thought there was a brilliant joke they could have done around the fact that there was a wheelchair using Barbie doll. Her name was Becky, and she featured in one of the Barbie games that we'll come to discuss in the following episode. And they actually had to recall, well, didn't have to, but they decided to recall her because, and I quote, "the doorway to Barbie Dream House was too small for the wheelchair to fit through." And so
Oh,
they were like, "Oh, let's not modify the dream house. Let's recall the doll entirely and just not have a wheelchair using Barbie." That would have been prime material for the film, and I think they unfortunately missed that one there. But
yeah.
yeah, they definitely had some parallels with the pregnant Barbie as well, which was an interesting one. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff, like the whole takeover when Ken comes back from the real world and turns Barbie Land into Ken Land, and how that went down. And I think the really key moment in terms of what feminism is and why it matters was it America Ferrera, the actress's speech, the monologue that she had.
Yes, I was just
Um,
thinking about
yeah,
that.
was spot on, basically.
It
Um,
was.
And I remember looking around the cinema and just seeing all these women just nodding their heads like, yes, yes, this is how I feel.
I was like mortifying my daughter
Mm.
because I was like, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I am that mum. I am that mum. I don't care. It was, yeah, it was so good,
Mm.
so good.
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up at the moment
Yeah.
actually because I just felt like it's where they you know, just every bit about it was just. I'd seen a clip of that
Mm.
before I went to the movie, and I actually thought it was a parody of the movie.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
realize that it was an actual scene from the film
Mm.
when I saw it, and because it just felt like the sort of thing that was not going to be in a film like that. So I was really sort of surprised and very pleasantly surprised that they had this amazing monologue.
Mm.
And I just wanted to just read a bit of from it where she
Yeah, of
says,
course.
you have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. And it was just so like, just really kind of got me because like,
Yeah,
it is how it feels, I
it
think, to
is.
be a woman, at least for most women at some point in their lives. That is how you feel. And
Mm.
this and the response to that, when that has been raised, the response to it from um the average man, I would
Mm.
say, um, is generally, well, you know, you wanted equality, you know, you wanted to have your cake and eat it, you wanted everything, and I think, you know, that's not what we
No.
didn't sign up for that. What we want is actually parity. You know,
Mm.
it is parity and equal opportunities and equal experiences in life, which is what everyone
Yeah,
wants. And you know, it's just, yeah, it was a really poignant scene, and I'm so pleased that they
mm.
were brave enough
Yeah.
to put it in.
I think
Really, really
it's the
pleased.
fact that it's been said and it's there to be heard is really affirming. Even just saying it is, because for so long, like I know that a lot of women feel it, but they might not necessarily be able to talk about it.
Mm,
And having it out there in a big, massive, multi-million-dollar probably film is pretty big, you know.
mm,
Um,
mm.
but in terms of just how women are represented in the film, do you think that that the film itself will go on to perhaps change some perceptions of women in society today? Do you think anyone's opinions are going to be changed?
I think that it's part of a general trickle in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so I think that I'm not sure that I'm not sure. I think that it's important that with every generation, a Slayer is born. No, with every generation, that we remind that generation
Mm.
of where we've come from and where we
Yes.
could go back to, because I think that's one of the things that is really important to bear in mind is that um, the freedoms that women enjoy in this country today were hard won,
Yeah.
and only relatively recently, very relatively recently, um, sort of set in any kind of stone. And I mean, to be fair, they're not set in stone, but to be set in any kind of laws. And I think we only have to look at at the rolling back of Roe v. Wade in the US to see that those freedoms are not definite. That just
No.
because we've gained ground in
Yeah.
this sort of push for equality does not mean that it is in any way definite and that it's safe. And I think it's important to remind younger generations, especially the generation that is being spoken to by people like Andrew Tate and Russell
Yes.
Brand, and all of these misogynists.
Hmm.
And they are misogynists, um, and I think that it's important to recognize that there is this group of entitled men out there who think that women should be something about them, something
Yeah.
that is about men and not sort of independent in their own right. And those are the kind of men that the younger generation of women are, and boys. It actually doesn't really matter. The younger generation are being exposed to on a
Yes.
daily basis, regularly. And we have this increase in online pornography, and we have these cases recently about young girls having their heads put on
Mm.
um, uh,
Like
nudes
what,
and
like
all
deep
of
fake
this.
and things. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think like this is a world that our younger generations live in. So I think it's really important that a movie like this comes out, because it says, hey, these are the issues. This is it very clearly laid out, and we have to keep pushing back
Yes.
against this. Otherwise, this is where we'll end up. And I think, it was, and at the same time, it also acknowledged the the plight of the Kens.
Yes.
But what I loved about it was that it recognised that the Kens have their own struggle, and it just went, but you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's your struggle
Yeah.
to deal with. This is our struggle to deal with. And I think there was real things. So I don't think that people are necessarily going to go in there and come out and go like, oh, my whole worldview's changed. But
Yeah.
I do think that this is part of a pushback against what we're also seeing as a bit of a backlash against
Yes.
changes. And I think it's this kind of push me, pull me thing.
Definitely. I think there's something to be said also. There's a lot of themes in the film around generations and the passing of from generation to generation. And like you
Mm,
said, it's really important because as different generations fade away naturally through time, that um, fight and the history behind the movement of women's equality is going to fade away unless we're reminded of it over and over
yeah,
again.
yeah.
And I think it's really important to just keep going. Like I remember listening actually to a recent episode of the tennis podcast where they talked about the 50th anniversary of the Women's Tennis Association, and
Mm,
Billie Jean King, who's obviously the spearhead of that movement for many people, made a speech saying about how in the 1970s many women couldn't get a credit card unless it was signed by their husband. um,
crazy.
and to think that that was only 50 years ago is incredibly scary thought. And it's things like that that make you stop and think, well, actually, yes, we do need to keep pushing this, because, like you say, there are a lot of, or not a lot, but influential men who have these misogynistic views and these platforms to spout out those views. I mean, just look at GB News and Lawrence Fox lately, who obviously
Yeah,
feels that women are only defined by how shaggable they are on his made-up scale in his head or whatever it is. But like, it's clearly just there's no place for it in today's society, and
mm,
I think we need to keep pushing that message because it's not right at all.
yeah. And I think also it was that message was pushed, but in a really positive way,
Yeah.
in a really, this isn't impossible. It's
Yeah.
not, it's good for everyone. This is a good thing, and we can do it. We just have to kind of recognize that there's a sort of, I don't know, like a sliding motion that can happen if we're not careful, and we just have
Yes.
to kind
Yeah.
of be there to do that. So absolutely, and I think your point about the generational story that was going
Yeah.
on in the film is really really insightful actually,
Yeah.
and very valid.
I
And
thought the ending was very poignant as well, and I watched it not as a mother, but obviously thought about my own mum and generations before my mum and how they would feel, because the ending obviously revolves quite a lot around motherhood and
mm,
Barbie being sent out by her creator as her mother into like the real world to go and find her own way through things. Was
mm.
that quite emotional for you, Jem?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I sobbed my way through the last bit of the
Yeah, I think a lot of
I cried
people
at
were.
everything, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was
No,
it
it was
was
very
and
powerful.
yeah, and I think it also it hooks in for all of us because um as a parent, one of the things that you want is to share the your childhood enjoyment with
Mm,
your child. So when my daughter was old enough to have Barbies, I was excited because I had played with Barbies and Cindy
yes.
and Gem from Truly Truly Outrageous, from Gem and
Ah,
the, what were they
yeah,
called? Gem and the, anyway. And so I really wanted my daughter to play with them. So I think, I sort of engaged her with that because I
mm,
had had such lovely times playing. And I mean, my Barbie games were generally involved people having affairs and all
yes,
sorts
yeah.
of stuff because
That was kind
it
of
was
what me and my
based on
sister
those.
used to do as well.
Yeah.
And
So,
yeah, it was good.
so I think there is this thing about passing on your childhood and your childhood loves to your children, and then on and on. And I think that came through in, and also the kind of acknowledgement that every time it gets passed on, it changes a little bit,
Mm,
and
yes.
what we want to get out of it as a parent is different from what we wanted to get out of it as a child. So when I was playing with Barbie, had no clue about feminism or
Mm,
any of that
yeah.
stuff, and then as a parent, then when I'm buying the Barbie dolls, I was sort of also buying Lottie dolls, which is a much more roughy tufty
Yeah.
actual girl shaped doll. And I was conscious of the messages I was passing on. And my daughter played with them in a completely different way to the way
Mm,
that I played with them. So there's that change, there's that shift, and I think that all came through in the film. Actually, I think a lot of that did.
brilliant. Well, I think that sums up our look at Barbie generally. And in our next episode, we're going to be continuing a theme and talking about Barbie video games of the 90s and how two gaming icons, if you take Barbie as a gaming icon within those games and compare it to Lara Croft, because I think it would be a really interesting comparison to see how both of those icons compare and how we look at them as feminist icons within games. So that's going to be your next episode. Tune in when you can. We have new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify. What's it called now? Apple Podcasts. So I was going to say iTunes then, showing my
Yeah,
age.
I was about to call it
Um,
Ocean.
yeah, all your places where you get podcasts. Please leave us reviews, 5-star if you can, if you like us. Share us with your friends, leave a comment, leave a like. It all does great things to boost our engagement. And thank you for listening or watching today. Um, until next time, we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.
we hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.